Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help mental health professionals grow their dream practices and live a life they love. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building tips. We invite you to take advantage of our private practice paperwork and our signature marketing e-course. And we have a gift for you. This is the exact methodology we use to create our six-figure private pay practices and have helped many other therapists do the same. Go to privatepracticestartup.com and on the homepage, click the button to download a free copy of your dream private practice playbook. Now on to today's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. We hope you guys are doing fantastic today, as we wish upon you all the time, actually. Here we are, like right in the beginning of the 300s of podcast recording, and how crazy. Actually, Kate, we missed our 6/6/2016 anniversary. We've been podcasting now literally for 6 years, which is crazy. So
wow,
we're recording on June 14th today, or 15th, but we've been recording for 6 years. That's just crazy to me. So 300 episodes, lots of therapists impacted, lots of amazing guests, just like our guests today. But before I tell you what we're talking about today, before I introduce our guests, we hope that you guys joined us last week as Kate and I talked about how to handle client cancellations. No matter where you are in private practice, especially when you're first starting out, navigating the cancellations can be a little bit difficult and tricky. I share my $10,000 learning lesson, which I'm gifting to you. You don't need to make that mistake yourself, but you'll have to listen to the podcast to understand what that $10,000 lesson is. So definitely hop on over if you haven't yet. And if you're needing some support on how to handle client cancellations. Today, we're talking about an important topic in private practice and really any business is overcoming mindset blocks. Time and time again, I've heard that, business is 20% or so strategy and 80% mindset. So it's really important that we focus on mindset, and who better to do it than therapists, because we're always talking about mindset. So our guest today is Comfort Nuswa WFA. And Comfort owns Comfort Counseling Center. And Comfort is a licensed therapist that provides therapy in Texas and Massachusetts to Black Christian professionals. Comfort's practice focuses on bridging the gap between mental health and spiritual health. Comfort has launched a successful online practice in 2 states, and Comfort enjoys traveling and telling jokes. So we're going to have to ask her what our favorite joke is for sure on this podcast as we dive into mindset blocks. But before we do that, let's just take a quick moment and thank our sponsor. We've had a long-term partnership with today's podcast sponsors. If you haven't heard of WiseHire before, they're on a mission to make finding great talent easier for you. In fact, we've hired our own social media manager on WiseHire, and she's amazing, and we loved the experience. In our line of work, we know that the hiring process can be overwhelming, frustrating, and disappointing at times. We like WiseHire because they give us the tools to handle the hard parts of hiring, like writing job ads, posting to job boards, and keeping track of all of those candidates in one convenient dashboard. And we love their DISC behavioral assessment. It helps us go beyond the resume and identify traits you're looking for in your ideal candidate. Plus, they won't break the bank. Whether you're hiring your first admin or expanding your private practice team, WiseHire will help you feel more confident as you navigate the world of entrepreneurship. They've made 2 custom job ad templates just for private practice startup listeners, and you'll get a lifetime discount of 10% off. At $179 a month, this is a rate you can't beat. If you're thinking about growing your practice, make sure you go to their discount link at wisehire.com/PPS. That's Wise, W-I-Z as in zebra, hire.com/PPS as in private practice startup.
Is managing your practice stressing you out? Try Therapy Notes. It makes notes, billing, scheduling, and telehealth a whole lot easier. Check it out, and you will quickly see why Therapy Notes is the highest rated EHR on Trustpilot.com with over 1,500 verified customer reviews and an average customer rating of 4.9 and 5 stars. You'll notice the difference from the first day you sign up for a free trial. They offer live phone support 7 days a week, so when you have questions, you can quickly reach out to someone who can help, and you're never wasting your time looking for answers. If you're coming from another EHR, they make the transition really easy. Therapy Notes will import your client's demographic data free of charge during your trial, so you can get going right away. Use the promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, to get 2 free months to try out Therapy Notes for free with absolutely no strings attached. And remember, telehealth is included with every subscription, absolutely free. Make 2022 the best year yet with Therapy Notes.
Comfort, welcome.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you both, Kate and Katie, for having me. Thank you.
We're delighted to have you.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm excited. Have some butterflies. More so excited. So thank you both for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your private practice journey and how did you get into therapy? What made you interested?
So I knew I wanted to become a therapist when I was in high school. It's just that having that interview within myself, my family dynamic, seeing my friends and their family dynamic. And that was the pull for me, that level of excitement, but more so trying to get my family to being healthy. And got into college. I knew first couple of classes that I wanted to go into private practice. So I'm one of those people at the end of the semester, do you want to go into private practice? Yes, I was always like one out or two raising my hand. And so when I got into graduate school, I knew for sure I was going to get into private practice. And then like most therapists, you go through working for an agency, working for a company, you have the highs and the lows and the people you work with and just learning so much about the mental health field and that you can play your part because it's far from perfect. And so I knew I wanted to go into private practice. There was some other stuff going on. And then 2020 hit. And like many other therapists, I went through my own mental monologue of this is time for me to pivot. And I left the 4-year job that I was doing. And I went into another job that I thought was going to be amazing and better, right? Because we leave one job for something better, and it wasn't. And I was there for a month, and I literally wrote my resignation letter, and I handed that in, and I walked out.
Wow.
I knew I was going to start. Yeah, after the month, I couldn't do it anymore.
And when was this time frame wise, Comfort, with the pandemic?
So this was, I left my job of 4 years, September 11, 2020. And I left because we had a staff meeting, and I'm always advocating for people. And we had a staff meeting, and I asked a question because I'm always asking questions. And the response that I got was like, no. No. And so I left. My last day at that job of 4 years was September 11th. And then I started September 14 or 15 at the new job. October 31st, I was out of there. November 10th, I created Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls, put on my profile. By 11:30 p.m., I went to sleep. When I woke up the next day, I had 3 potential people wanting to work with me.
Wow.
That's amazing. I just got chills. Wow.
And so, yeah. So I did the whole, the pre-screening, the consultation and making sure we're a good fit. And November 18th of 2020, I saw my first client. Private pay.
Woohoo!
Private pay. And I was able to do that because I had some savings and I had the idea of saving. And so when I left the job, I was okay because I knew I have X amount of money. And if I needed to wait or if I was going to deal with the fear or being scared or whatever the case may be, financially, the bills was going to be taken care of. And so I got in private pay and I'm still private pay. And so, yeah.
Well, and then you also shared that you had another pivot during that time, which was what?
Moving. I had another, yes. And so when I realized that I can do this, I can do private pay, people can reach out to me and I can say, no, I do not accept health insurance. This is how my practice is set up. And at the time I was doing sliding scale for certain people, of course, based on where they were. And I'm like, I want to move. And I knew I always wanted to retire in a warm climate. Wasn't going to be Florida, ladies, but I knew I wanted it to be in a warm climate. And so it was between Charlotte, Atlanta, and either Dallas or Houston. And so I started a process going through the state board here, reaching out to. The thing about networking is you don't have to be in the same state. I know I listen to the podcast, and you ladies are always really echoing the emphasis of networking the way you want to. And it doesn't have to be in the same state. You can be in another state and network with people, and that's really exciting. And so I started to do that, and I got help from another therapist who guided me through the steps. So I reached out to the state board. I thought it was going to be easy breezy because I'm already licensed in Massachusetts. It wasn't. They was told you meet everything other than one course. I had to take a summer class. And so that means my trip and moving was kind of changed. And so I took the summer course that was for 2 months, from June to July. And so I applied in January of 2021, had to take the summer course, June to July, took the summer course. That was taken care of. And in August, I got licensed in Texas. And in December, I moved.
Wow. That's been quite a journey of these last 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely lots of pivoting and lots of moments of clarity. And then also just some validation that, gosh, I'm making the right decision for that one situation that you shared. You went to bed and you woke up and you had 3 new potential clients that had contacted you. I mean, if that's not validating and saying like, okay, this is the right direction, I don't know what is. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of the mindset blocks that came up for you, Comfort, at these different points of intersection where you were making these major changes.
I think in the beginning for me, I knew I was going to go into private practice. So that was always there. That wasn't going to change. I knew that I was going to face some hardship, but I was going to do it regardless, right? Fear was going to be in the passenger seat. I'm going to be in the driver's seat. We're going together. I knew that. And so when I started, I'm like, how am I going to do this? I just left a job. What is my supervisor going to think? And I believe at the time, my starting rate was more than his. And I'm like, well, what if they see my Psychology Today profile? What are they going to think? And so I had that plan in the back of my mind, but then I will work with a person and I'll hear them say, because of you, this happened. Because of the work we do together, this happened. You challenged me to do this. I'm able to have this conversation with Mom. And so that was also reassuring, that kind of pushed the fear aside, that the people that you're working with, the people that you're invested in, they're coming back and they're telling you the changes they're making. So you are doing something here that's impactful. You are helping people shift. And I think that was helpful because I was able to, yes, I have this mindset of what other people are going to think, but the people that I'm working with are thinking this about our work. That's also crucial. So let that become the forefront of my experience moving forward. And so that really helped. And I think the other one was working with a specific population. What are people going to think? And I remember telling a mentor who's in the field, and she was like, well, you're only working with a specific group. Don't you think you're leaving certain people out? And I said, that's for a reason. I don't want to be burnt out.
Yes.
I don't want to be, and that's how I take care of myself. I don't get to burn out because I work with the people that are aligned with my values. Mm-hmm. And so that really keep that at bay for me. So the other thing was being mindful who I listened to. Mm-hmm. Right? Regardless of where they were, whether they had a practice for 20 years or for 2 hours, being mindful of what I listened to, because that can really hurt. And so that was one thing. The other thing was definitely listening to podcasts, listening to different people who are doing it. And I discovered you both through Dr. Marie Fink on YouTube. Oh. You both did her thing. And I'm like, who are these ladies? And who's Kate and who's Katie? And so I watched that video, and I watched the video twice. And then I went on the page, and I think I went on you guys' website, and I think I started to get some, I don't know, it was monthly emails or the newsletter. I was getting something. And then the flash of the e-course marketing started to come in. And I'm like, okay, you're charging these clients X amount of money, but you're concerned about paying this for the course. The two don't go together. They don't go together. So whatever you can do, invest in this course, because the individuals you're working with are investing in their life. So this is how you invest in yours. And that was one of the ways that I was able to get to, is connecting myself to the right courses, because there are a lot of courses that you can take and you walk away with an invoice. You walk away with an invoice, whereas this course was really able to allow me to tap into a lot of things. And I still, every time I get the alert of a new podcast, I'm watching. So that's the other thing of constantly trying to stay connected into having the right podcast, the right people feed me, so I'm able to break down those fears and those mindset blocks.
Awesome. I just want to take a quick moment for our sponsor. You've said so much good stuff, and I just want to kind of summarize it, but just let's take a quick moment for our sponsor.
If you're a business owner, the last thing you want to spend your time on is handling payroll, employee benefits, time off requests, and everything else that comes along with managing a team. Let Gusto take these tasks off your plate. Gusto offers all-in-one payroll and HR for growing businesses. From full-service payroll and benefits to team management tools and more, Gusto makes it easy for you to support your hardworking team all in one intuitive platform. Gusto is loved by both businesses and employees. For businesses, having everything in one place is a game changer. With Gusto, most customers are able to run payroll in 10 minutes or less. And Gusto helps with the hard stuff too, like filing payroll taxes, compliance, new state tax registration, and more. Employees love that Gusto's interface is modern, fresh, and extremely intuitive and organized. Whether your team is in person, remote, or a combination, with Gusto, keeping your team on track is easy. Join the more than 200,000 new and growing businesses that are using Gusto to build a great workplace for their employees. Right now, Gusto is offering our listeners 3 months for free at gusto.com/PPS, as in the private practice startup. Get easy payroll, benefits, HR, and a happier team. Go to gusto.com/PPS today.
Comfort, when you shared about, you're in the driver's seat and fear's in the passenger seat, I totally got this visual, it's something that's going to happen anyways. And it's we might as well go together and kind of figure out who each other is and stuff like that. And I really loved how you talked about, I think one of the most difficult thing you said, figuring out who to listen to and who not to listen to. And one of the biggest people that we listen to is ourselves. And it's usually not positive. And I really liked how you were able to draw on what your clients were saying about the impact of your work and allow that to be really the resounding voice when at the moment or at the time, you couldn't do that for yourself as well, right? Yeah. You were kind of thinking about your boss and that you were charging more than he was, type of thing. And you're but wait, this is what my clients are saying. This is the truth. And this is the impact that's making in their life. And that began to kind of carry you through. So yeah. I love how you did that. It reminds me of a podcast that we did a while back with Dr. Sean Davis. And it was interesting because a lot of his advice was very different. And he talked about kind of keeping it simple and stop listening to so many people because it can get confusing. And it's really about listening to the right people and the right message that's going to carry us through for sure.
Yeah. And then fear is going to be there. It's that I'm working with people who are faith-based. And so if I'm trying to help and support these people, my personal life have to look a certain way. My personal life, I have to be intentionally living a certain way. And so I think that's a huge part of it. Fear is going to be somewhere. It's going to be in the trunk of the car. It's going to be in the back seat, or it's going to be in the passenger seat. But I'm driving this car. I'm in control of where we're going. I'm looking at the rear view mirrors. But I'm the one in control. You can come along for the ride, but I'm calling the shots. And I think when I was able to do that, I think a lot of things was able to fall in place for me. And I was able to increase my feet as I made changes. And I saw that was still okay. And people were still reaching out. And it got to the point that I needed to say, okay, I was turning people away because things were just falling into place. The moment those blocks are taken care of, the moment we're able to tap into the faith, the courage, the power that we have, because it's already there. It's not outside of us. We have to go within to find it. And when I was able to do that, a lot of things fell in place.
Nice. Now, do you still see clients in Massachusetts?
I do. I do. So, because I started doing COVID, so everything has been online virtually. And so prior to leaving, I did an in-person meeting where it was just anybody can stop in. It was for one day. Any of the clients could stop in and we could just see each other because we never seen each other in person. And so a few of them did. And that was really funny because I thought you were shorter or taller. And so meeting in person for the first time was exciting. But a lot of them was like, can I stay with you? I'm like, yeah, I'm still licensed in Massachusetts. Our work is not going to change. The only difference is I'm physically in another state. And so I kept everyone. The thing that was also really powerful, a profound moment for me. So I drove from Boston to Texas, like moving
a long way.
Wow.
Yeah, 29 hours I drove. So the day before driving to Texas, I had my first consultation with a new Texas client. So I've been getting calls, but we're either not a good fit or I was referring them out. But the day before, I got on the phone with a potential Texas client, and that was that was literally before I got in the car to drive. And for me, and this was at my new rate.
Wow.
I'm going into a new place. I've gotten my first client at my new rate.
And what did that tell you in the moment? I have goosebumps over here hearing you.
I can't even get the words out because when you're intentional, things will happen. That's what that told me. When you're intentional, things will happen. And the people that I work with, I tell them, if you're consistent in what you do, you will see consistent results. If you're inconsistent, you will see inconsistent results. And because I was consistent throughout and marketing myself in a way that was aligned with me, I wasn't trying to do what other people was doing. People that were coming out to me was able to relate to that. And so getting off that phone call was so exciting. And it just made me want to get in the car and started driving right away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how your faith has influenced your private practice journey.
Wow, to say that is everything is an understatement. I know I have a part to play, but I think that even a lot of times, right, the idea that fear is going to be in this vehicle, that we think that when we're people of faith, that we shouldn't be fearful, like everything should be amazing and you should, do everything and not have we're always going to have negative thoughts creeping in. Some of us more than others. For me, I know that I'm part of this experience of growing my practice because I know I believe in God, there's a higher power who's doing a lot of things behind the scene that I don't know what it is. The fact that I drove from Boston to Houston, 29 hours with no issues or anything, definitely that has happened for other people. But for me, it's just so amazing that the idea of relinquishing control, that we tell our individuals that, you don't have control over everything. There's certain things that are within your power. And for me, that's what faith is like. I cannot control every single thing. Someone else have to do it. Who's that person? That's my higher power. So let that person figure it out. And let me figure out being in this session and working with this individual and doing the best I can do.
Nice. I love the little stories. I feel like they're little like God winks, right? Like you're on the right path. Like it's just the right timing, the right space. If you needed validation or there was doubt, it's just right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing that's powerful for me is we have a lot of affirmations, right? That we see everywhere now, that I am statement, I am this, I am deserving of a private practice that's going to thrive. And I engage in all of that and I practice all of that. But a huge part of it is affirming myself through the word of God. that I am going to have an abundance of life. That means anything I touch is going to prosper. That includes my practice.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
That includes that, I'm going to be connected to the right people. The right people, right? Kate and Katie. And so I think sometimes we can overthink a lot of things. And so the faith comes in and, you know what? Let this be. Let this go. Let this be. Let this go. Focus on this. Okay, I'll focus on that.
The faith
so I think
is a
that
big
helps.
part of overcoming those mindset blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for people out there, it doesn't have to be in God. Have faith within yourself. It's massive. It's massive because the reason why we do the work we do, we have faith in the expertise that we have because we know we can help a client get to a transformed life. So with every therapist, we have that within ourselves. And I think that's power. It doesn't have to be in God if that's not for that person.
Nice. Do you find the clients that you are called to serve, are they usually having difficulty with their faith, or is their faith already strong?
Everyone is at a different place. But the other reason why I don't specialize in trauma, but for a lot of people who are Christians, there are a lot of people who believe in God, a lot of their trauma are connected to the church. A lot of their trauma are connected to the community, right? Could be any form of abuse. Could be how they was treated. Could be they was told not to wear certain things. Could be they was told to pray a certain way. And so for that reason, when people come into therapy, they're at each person is at a different space with their relationship with God. A lot of times they're so far away from it because of what happened. A lot of times they're getting back into it, or a lot of times they knew that they wanted to get into therapy, but they knew that they can only do it with a faith-based therapist. And so the people that I've worked with, they're pretty much everywhere, from being close to God at one point and not being close anymore, to being involved in church and being committed and being on the ministries and things like that. But I think one of the things I've come to understand that they appreciate is being able to have the insight. For example, you'll have the Christian community. There's this thing about being able to serve God and give and do. But a lot of times within the Christian community, we don't understand boundaries. And so that's one of the things that's been coming up a lot in my sessions is, yes, they want to, serve. Yes, they want to commit. Yes, they want to do within their community, their Christian community, but is leading to burnout, is, getting in the way of parenting, is getting in the way of their relationship, is getting in the way of work. So how do I still engage in this community because I really love it and I'm connected to it, but also set boundaries? And people come into therapy for that.
Wow. Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
So Comfort, what is it that you want, folks who are in this place, whether their mindset blocks are creeping up for them? I mean, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
I think that it's important to really pay attention to what you tell yourself. Because if we're a therapist and we're sitting in a therapy room in person or virtually, and we're trying to encourage our clients and we're trying to challenge them in a safe way, and they're not doing certain things, but stepping away from that, and we're in our personal life, we want to do certain things in private practice. Maybe we want to transition to group practice, but we're not doing certain things, and really asking ourselves, why is that? And why is this person that I'm working with, why are they going to do certain things if I'm not doing my own stuff in my personal life? If I'm running into fear, how can I help someone work through their own stuff? And I think for me, working through those blocks is my own inner work. Mm-hmm. There is an interview and there's an interview that we have to do with ourselves. And that's something that will really encourage people to do. It's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay to be transparent with yourself. It's okay to ask for help from the right people. Be mindful of what you're taking in. and know that your positive thoughts can become your reality. I had to make my thoughts become my reality, and that's what it is now.
And I really love how you just emulate the work that you do with others. Like you are your work. You're just very aligned, with what you're doing in private practice and who you're called to serve. And I love that. And it's always beautiful when we can come into direct alignment with who we are and then serve people in that aspect, because it's just this reciprocal process that, like you said, it's very giving. Like you don't get burnt out, you get energized, you get excited. Not that we don't get tired being human, but it is very much a reciprocal process. And I know that you actually have a free giveaway for our audience, really with the stuff that you're talking about today. What is that?
So I have a free downloadable self-care planner. Definitely I know my website will be connected to the information, and you all could just go on there and try to download that planner. It's something that I create to focus on being intentional with the people we have in our life, because they're going to introduce us to things and they're going to take us places. And so that also helps with the mindset block, right? Our day and how we're caring for ourselves. And so the planner is on there. People that I work with can use that. Therapists can use that. Anyone can use that. And it's free. So please do take advantage of it.
We will definitely add that to our show notes page for sure. And we so appreciate you being here and just sharing your journey and your excitement and just, how it's kind of evolved. And, I love your analogies and the visuals that you shared. So Comfort, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing how to overcome mindset blocks, really your kind of perspective on it overall. And congrats on your success. And we hope that you guys join us next time as we officially introduce Dr. Kim Grosher as our private practice coach. And Kim talks about working in your zone of genius.
Yes. Thank you so much, Comfort, for being here. I really enjoyed this episode, and I hope Startup Nation, you did as well. So we always invite you to subscribe, rate, and review our show. You can find the links to do that on our show notes page. And of course, if this spoke to you or you think it would speak to a friend or a fellow colleague, please share with them as well. And we always want to make sure that we're creating content that specifically meets your needs along the private practice journey. So if there is a topic out of these 300 and some episodes that we've recorded so far that we have not done yet, please let us know. Or if you have interest in being on the show, let us know that too. So Comfort, thank you again for being here. And Startup Nation, we'll see you on the next episode. In the meantime, stay inspired, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.